Hello and welcome to another edition of Bonnie's Insider, presented by Universal Primary Care. It's a busy time around St. Bonaventure with the fall sports coming to a close and basketball season just about ready to tip off. In this episode, we'll preview the seasons for men's and women's basketball, bring you up to date on Bonna's tremendous fall on the soccer pitch, and more. First, we catch up with the new leader of Bonnie's athletics. Athletic Director Joe Manhertz took some time out of his busy schedule recently to introduce himself to Bonna Nation, share a bit of his vision for St. Bonaventure athletics, and talk about his first few weeks on the job in our first edition of From the AD's Desk.
It's good to come home. I grew up outside of Rochester, New York in a town called Fairport. Really enjoyed growing up there, still have great friends, and I think of my teachers and coaches that shaped me, truly cherish that experience. Family's still there, so it's nice to get back within 2 hours of them. Growing up there really taught me the value of hard work. I think back to my high school football coach, really just making us believe in ourselves and our ability. We weren't the biggest team, but we were the toughest team, and that epitomizes Western New York in this area. That's who I am and what I've done and how I've always been. I hope to continue to be that way. I had a great career in high school. I was a first team All-State. We won the state championship. We beat Jamestown in Rich Stadium back then. And so I got to play in the Bill Stadium, and we still tell those war stories when we get back together with our high school buddies. Basketball, we played in sectional finals, and I was on varsity for 3 years and lost to John Wallace and lost to some McQuaid teams back in the day. I really just enjoyed that growing up. I think of my coaches then, all the coaches that really shaped me, Coach Wyman, Coach Fitch. Going on to play football at Colgate and also being on the basketball team really was just an unbelievable experience. That showed me the importance of education and athletics, and you can really use them together, and that's why I really truly enjoy being an athletic director. I wanted to play in the NFL. I thought I could do it, but once I realized that wasn't an opportunity, I really started looking at this opportunity, and I thank Marty Scarano, the athletic director at University of New Hampshire, Mark Murphy, Kenny Gamble, all the folks in the athletic department at Colgate that really led me into this field. And to be here today is just, I pinch myself because I get to talk sports and money sometimes in athletics for a living. In doing this, I really think about the opportunity I was provided as a student athlete, and so I can help make that opportunity for more student athletes and more kids, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. Colgate was a great experience for me. I really got the chance to kind of play grown up, really just understand how running an athletic department was. They gave me an experience where I got to do zero-based budgeting. I got to be in compliance, championships, business office. They gave me great responsibility, and I cherish that the most. That got me started on this journey. And then I decided to go to grad school, and I got my master's at Ohio State, and I interviewed for assistantships in marketing, in compliance, and then there was one in development, and I didn't know what that was. And I remember talking to Scarlett, and she telling me what it was, and I looked at her and I was like, wow, you mean I can talk sports and money for a living? Sign me up. And we both laughed, and here I am today, and that's been my career. Graduated, and I went on to work in the Jerome Schottenstein Center in event management, and it was a great experience. That's when you really learned you had to work ethic, because we were working 80, 90 hours a week in a brand new facility. Came back home and went to Syracuse and really started understanding what it meant to be in the relationship business and fundraising. And from Syracuse, I went to Hamilton College for a year, really perfected the development side versus the transactional side of fundraising on a college campus. And then back to Ohio State and really enjoyed working with Gene Smith, Pat Chun, Martin Jarman, so many other folks that are now titans in the industry. From there, going on to Duke, Kevin White, I can't thank him enough for all the opportunities he gave me. I think the biggest thing that made me prepare for this job was the opportunity to supervise the fencing program. And working with the fencing coaches and the fencing student athletes, it really grounded me to realize that it really is all about the student athletes. The fundraising side of it was amazing. You got to interact with some really great people. The relationship business, that was priceless from the standpoint of trying to do gifts that can affect student athletes' experiences. The Katz family did a match for behavioral health and working with folks for that and understanding what that meant for student athletes and for everyone now. It's okay to not be okay, but there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And so that really sticks to me. The Andreessen family did a gift that was really impactful during COVID, endow a coaching position, highlight some All-Americans, but also endow a scholarship in honor of the first minority athlete at Duke. And so really just to be a part of that and be a part of some of those things really has been a difference maker for me. There's just so many gifts and so many people along the way that I still have relationships with from my time at Syracuse and Ohio State that will help us here at St. Bonaventure. You have the relationship with it, and it really goes to show you that relationships matter. The St. Bonaventure family is a passion that's been shown to me since I've been here, and as I thought about and researched it, it just really showed through. This place is ready for something that's bigger than what they are. And the opportunity that they took a chance on me really makes me appreciative and really want to make a mark. Not make my mark, because it's not about me, it's about the kids, but really when my time is done here, however long that is, I want people to say, 20, 30, 40 years from now, the impact that my leadership had for this place. They tasked me with doing a bunch of things, and I'm looking forward to that. And I think it fits my skill set. And then getting here and seeing the people and the student athletes and interacting with student athletes, I wish I'd have gotten here a year earlier. I've had other opportunities, but it was just, this one was right. A chance to get home, get back to my roots, and really be a part of something that I think is going to be special. I'm not going to come in here and really come and say, what worked for me there's got to work for me here. I got to come in, listen, talk to people, and understand what this place needs and how I can help. When my time is up here, and I hope that's not for a long time, they'll be able to say, wow, Joe really made an impact, and look what he's done. And I think one of the biggest ways in doing that is his scholarship endowment, taking it and making sure that things are endowed so it's here in perpetuity. And I think that's the biggest aspect of it is, because we always have a need for operating dollars and fundraising and all that, but endowments really matter and they last and they're here forever. And I think that's the one thing that really I want to make sure that I help create an environment that helps us raise a tide for all ships. And I think that's one aspect to do it, and really think about how we can help the infrastructure here, not just for athletics, but for the entire university. Working with the search committee and working with the staff since I've been here, they're ready for athletics to be even better teammates and be a part of the university where we fit. We don't want to be bigger than what we're supposed to be, but we want to be a part of this institution. It's a great institution, they're doing great things, and we just want to make sure athletics continues to pick up more steam and continue to build on that. Because what St. Bonaventure means to this area, to its alumni, we want to make sure that that stays at a high level, and then we'll take it even higher. For me, I think it's really sitting down and creating a vision and a plan how we can move forward, and really looking at what we're good at, what we need to improve, and let's focus on what we're good at. Let's make sure we stay there, and these things that we need to improve, let's work on that. We want to compete, we want to win. It's going to take resources to do that, but we also, when we ask you for your resources, we want to be good stewards of your money. Working with people on campus that have been great and supportive. I met with the Student Athlete Advisory Council last night, and it was just so exciting. They're so excited, and they want to do things, and they want to help. If they come to me and say, let's do this, let's find a way. And so that's the part that I really enjoy. I'm so thankful to be a part of this, to be here, to represent this university, the student athletes, and be an advocate for them. As an athletic director, your job is really to help provide opportunities for student athletes to have great choices and great experience, and that's really what I want to focus on.
There's been no shortage of excitement in Joe's first few weeks on the job, as the fall seasons have been some of the best in recent memory for the Bonnies. From the cross-country course, where freshman Clay Pete set a program record for Atlantic 10 weekly awards, to the golf course, where graduate student Kristen Chapman has been breaking program records, it's been a great start to the academic year. That's certainly true for Bonnies soccer, as both teams have had standout moments this fall. The men's team scored a huge win at Dayton to head into the final weekend of Atlantic 10 competition in the running for a playoff spot, while on the women's side, it's been one of the best seasons in quite some time as the Bonnies return to the Atlantic 10 tournament for the first time since 2013. Led by newcomer Christina Torres, the Atlantic 10 leader with 13 goals this year, the Bonnies secured a return to the conference playoffs in thrilling fashion with a senior day win during their final home competition of the year.
Let's go, baby! Let's beat the game!
It's time for a quick break, but when we return, we'll bring you a full preview of Bonnie's basketball. You're watching Bonnie's Insider, presented by Universal Primary Care.
Schultz is always at your service, ensuring your vehicle gets the maintenance it requires. Now, with modern, touchless options across the entire auto care experience. Speak with a service advisor on the phone or at one of our newly envisioned service centers. Pay invoices online or via mobile app. And drive home in confidence, knowing Schultz only permits limited personnel access to your vehicle. Exceeding expectations is our mission. That's why the next generation of auto care is already here at Schultz.
Western New York is known for energy innovation. Today, Energy Mark is leading the way for the next generation of renewable energy. At Energy Mark, we help power Western New York homes and businesses with low-cost, locally produced energy, including renewables like solar and wind power. Energy Mark, the official energy supplier to the Buffalo Bills. Connect your account to Energy Mark at buylocalenergy.com.
The Bonnie's men's basketball team heads into the season ranked 23rd in the National Associated Press Top 25, the first national ranking for the program in 50 years. With all that there is to look forward to around the team this year, who better to talk Bonnie's basketball than two of the experts on the program, longtime voice of the Bonnies, Gary Nease, and Olean Times Herald beat reporter, JP Butler. Gary and JP break down some of the top storylines heading into the season in our basketball preview, presented by Energy Mark.
I really don't know if I've seen this much excitement about a season since the 1971 season, after they had gone to the Final Four, had key players back, and saw nationally ranked. So it's been 50 years since we've had this kind of excitement, when people have been talking about it since March, about the fact that we've got all 5 of our starters back and looking forward to another season. I don't think the excitement levels dropped off since they lost to LSU.
And it's certainly the most buzz for a season in my lifetime. In 2000 and 2012, there was the hope of making the NCAA tournament. In 2017-18, that was probably the highest point that it's been for me, and this has even exceeded that. And I probably would have thought that at some point there'd be sort of a limit on what this team and what this program would be able to accomplish under the circumstances of today. But it's almost like with each passing year, they find ways to knock that ceiling down and find more that they can accomplish here. So if we're talking about, starting the season nationally ranked, being called a dark horse Final Four candidate, and if those are the kinds of conversations we're having, this is a whole new level for this program. You can feel that people see that and are excited by it and understand it, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this all now plays out going into the start of the season.
I think it's even got more exciting since the transfer rule came in. Everybody who was here as a substitute left, and the players that Mark and his crew were able to recruit came in as quality players who could play right away. These guys are talented, and they've got guys behind them now that you're not too concerned about if somebody gets in foul trouble, who are you going to bring in?
If this team was this good last year, where they obviously won both the regular season and A-10 tournament, now we're saying that they've got a bench, a legitimate bench that's going to come in, actually be able to contribute in some sort of significant capacity, actually allow for some of these guys to get some rest, and the difference that might make. And that's why almost everybody nationally thinks so highly of them coming into this year.
It's a blessing to have that. I'm sure that Coach Schmidt at the end of the year with the transfer rules going, oh my gosh, I hope these guys stay together, but they made it quite clear very early that all 5 were coming back. They weren't transferring out. Jaron Holmes, who said, we didn't finish what we wanted to accomplish, so we're all coming back. And that was like 5 minutes after the LSU game was over. And I think that's what created the excitement, knowing that they were coming back. To recruit the players that he was able to recruit just makes it that much stronger. But it is a unique situation when you have your entire starting 5 coming back.
You look at all of the different elements that are in play anymore in 2021, as far as the transfer rules that are in place now. Now you can go somewhere and not have to sit out. Everything that's kind of created by the pandemic, and having the opportunity to start fresh somewhere if you wanted to. And even for some of these guys, there was the opportunity to maybe even look into being done and going the pro route. For this group of 5 to agree to want to come back together, want to do this, want to check, to me, this final box that this group has, and that's winning an NCAA tournament game. I mean, they've done everything. This group is so loved and going to go down as such a unique, sort of revered group because they've endeared themselves to the Bonner faithful from the beginning, from when they were freshmen. It's not like they were just guys who were kind of around that first year and then they sort of became the guys and became more popular by the time they're going into this season. That was the group that was in Brooklyn making a run to the NCAA tournament as freshmen. And for them to stay together and for them to work out the way it did, where you bring in a guy like Jaron, who's so great. This is a JUCO guy who's coming in. There's no telling how that's going to go, but for him to plug in and work out the way he did, for Jalen to come in as a transfer, as a 4-year transfer, and have it work out the way it did. I mean, the odds of that just seem so low, and now for them to all be back together for one last go here, the final dance kind of thing, I mean, that's such a special thing.
The fact that you're going to see St. Bonaventure on an AP Top 25 list at the start of the season, not having to work the entire season to get there. That's a prestige thing. You talk to Coach Schmidt and nothing's been accomplished yet. They haven't thrown a ball up in a regular season game. I remember talking to him about the A10 when the polls came out preseason. He said, I don't care what they say preseason. Where I want is at the end of the season. That's where I want to be number one. Right. It's good. It gives the university another avenue. President Zimmer is probably happy about this too because, hey, there's St. Bonaventure with a national exposure.
Can't quantify that.
Yeah.
You know?
Now they have to go out and prove that they deserve that 23 and work on getting up into the top 10.
Yeah. For years and years, Bana sort of embraced the role of being the underdog and overlooked a little bit, and you use that as motivation. You've got that chip on your shoulder. That doesn't exist anymore. There's no room anymore to say that this team doesn't get the respect it deserves when you talk about starting the season nationally ranked. I always thought that, okay, maybe this could happen. I think back to even like 2000 when they beat Temple, and then you look the next day, maybe there's a chance they're getting some. I always thought it would take something like that, like knocking off a nationally ranked VCU at home, and then maybe they get in that week. But to have the respect of starting the season that way, to be the unanimous preseason number one. Now, there hasn't been a unanimous preseason the A10 since 2014. And to be viewed that way, it's just all another indication of how far this program has come under Schmidt. And I would have thought that maybe there'd be some sort of established ceiling at some point. I would have thought that setting the wins record in 18 and getting that NCAA win over UCLA might have been sort of the peak of things, and we wouldn't see anything like that for a little while. And here we are 3 years later talking about the team that's number 23 in the country right now.
It's been a long road, 2007 and then 2008 with the first team he put on the floor. He barely had 5 guys. Somehow found a bunch more so he could practice. But, and here we are talking about his 5 starters all back and quality reserves. He built the program the way it's supposed to be built, and now he's maintaining it. And that's the big thing. And you look for improvement every year now. Watching this team practice, the guys who were not in that starting 5 look like they fit in very well. The players who are learning are pushing those 5 starters. They're making them better because they are competing. In the guard play, it was hand-to-hand combat, and that's the way Mark Schmidt likes to coach practice. They're giving Kyle and Jaron, the 2 other guards, Adams and Cezono, they're pushing those guys, and they're making them better, and that's what helped Bonas 5-6 years ago when they brought Hosley and Mobley. They pushed those guys to be better, and I think that's what's happening right now in practice. And if you're not ready to practice, then these guys are going to show you up. They basically know what they're doing. Of course, freshmen, it's tough, but you get them into an open scrimmage, and what kind of talent. I mean, I'm seeing windmill dunks from 6'4" guys jumping over 6'8" guys.
I just want it on the record that I'm done saying that, oh, this is going to be the most depth the Schmidt team has ever had, because I've said that 2 or 3 times in the past. I said that going into last year, and then things happen. And that's the nature of it now, and we've seen Schmidt teams long enough to know that 11 guys aren't going to be playing 20-plus minutes a game. This is not how he does things. These starters are still going to play 30 to 32, 33 minutes a game. But you've got some guys that should be able to come in and make an impact, I think, right away. The two that stick out to me are Kareem Koulibaly, just being an ACC transfer, a big body, at a position where they need some help anyway. And then Linton Brown, just with his experience, the resume he brings in, being a tremendous shooter and a JUCO All-American, and really filling a role that they really do need. Dominic Welch, obviously, Jaron Holmes can hit it. Kyle got a lot better as the season went on, but they can still be streaky. And if Linton Brown is bringing that element, I think he'll play. Even if a lot of these guys don't see a ton of time this year, I think the difference is that they can stick it out and know that next year's starting lineup might be Brown and Adams and Koulibaly. I just don't think that it's ever going to be more than that 8 to 8.5 guys. But to think that you've got 13 on the roster that you're super excited about,
yes,
that's a good position to be in.
Okay, as far as non-conference goes, you've got probably the strongest non-conference schedule we've seen in a long time. Nationally ranked teams that went to the NCAA last year or was postseason somewhere last year. They're going to be teams that they were there last year. You look at some of these games, they all are quality teams. They either won or competed for their conference titles. Right. They made it to the postseasons. It's a strong non-conference schedule, and you want them to be undefeated going into the conference, but I don't see it happening.
And they've got all sorts of opportunities in the non-conference. I do think that it's a team that still, despite how difficult it is, could very well go like 10-2 or something along those lines. The game that really stands out, and it's not even a guarantee, is the potential for a Bonner West Virginia championship game. But even if they were to, you got Virginia Tech, you got West Virginia, you got UConn, lose 1 or 2 of those outside of this building, that doesn't hurt you, and you still have a number of opportunities for a real nice non-conference resume. And then you got to do, what you do in conference play. And if you put those two things together, you do have a team that is probably going to have an opportunity to be high at-large or conference champion bid at that point. And the stakes are high going into all of these games. But that's one thing these teams have done a really good job of under Schmidt, is being able to block that type of stuff out. They've been through it. They're not going to be daunted by what's in front of them here. I think that's maybe one of the most important underlying aspects to this whole thing, is just the experience and how mature these guys are. There are so many things this year in terms of the caliber, in terms of being on TV, in terms of all those Friday night ESPN games. I mean, that's like the Monday night. They're like the Patriots or Cowboys, whatever you want to say, playing on that Monday night so many times. But this is a group that's capable of handling, that kind of thing. I don't see any reason that it would be different this year.
As far as the A-10 goes, it's a tough schedule because of the quality of teams that are coming back. You've got Richmond. We're talking about our 5 guys back. Richmond's got all their guys back.
They have 5 guys back, too.
The ECU is going to be strong. St. Louis always is a battle, and Davidson's always a quality program. I mean, you go up and down this list. You can't take a night off.
The A-10 lost a lot to graduation. There's going to be a lot of rising guys who are going to be expected to take the next jump, and there's a lot of transfers, in the league this year. So it's going to be interesting to see who of those guys and teams sort of pans out. But if a lot of them do, I think you could have a lot of teams in the middle now who are suddenly pretty dangerous as well, from a George Mason with a new coach in there and some transfers. A Dayton, loaded up on some transfers. St. Louis, they seem to always be the ones to kind of do that now. I still think this Bonner team has every chance to go 16-2, 15, I mean, whatever it is. But they're certainly going to be challenged, and they're going to be challenged in a way they weren't last year. You could go on the road and not have to worry about how daunting it was going to be at UD Arena or at the Siegel Center. You're going into some of these daunting venues again. They didn't have to face that last year. That's something that, they got to readjust to, while knowing that they've got a bigger target on their back than they've ever had before.
Starting out at number 23 in the nation it puts a little target on your back, but I think these guys are up to it.
Well, it's no secret that one of the most anticipated seasons in Bonnie's basketball history is just around the corner. The men kick off their season with an exhibition game against Alfred November 4th, but the excitement really got going last weekend with the return of Bonner Fan Jam, the first time Bonnie's fans returned to the Riley Center in over a year and a half. Let's take a look. The run-up to basketball season continued this past Wednesday as the men's and women's teams participated in Atlantic 10 Media Day. Let's take a look back at some of the interviews with coaches and student athletes from both teams.
It's a credit to our players, my staff, the administration here. We've come a long way, and to be picked #1 preseason in such a great league with great coaches, great programs, great players, it's a great honor and something that we don't take lightly. The only expectations that really matter are our expectations, and not the outside world. We understand that, the #1 pick in preseason, that's all great, but the games are won on the court. And what we did last year was terrific, but last year was last year. This is a whole new year. And the one thing about last year, we didn't play well against LSU in the tournament, and I think that's the driving force to these guys this year. They're then motivated to try to repeat what we did last year, and it's not easy, winning the Atlantic 10 and winning the Atlantic 10 tournament and going to the NCAA tournament and being the #9 seed, that's really, really hard. And to duplicate that, it will be amazing. But our guys, the goal is to get back to the NCAA tournament and try to advance. Just like every team, every coach you talk to is, the ultimate goal is to get to the NCAA tournament. And last year we did that, and I think our guys got a taste of it. Now they want to try to get there again, which we know is going to be difficult. But if we do get there, to try to advance and try to get to the second weekend and try to get to the third weekend. And, that's what we're trying to do. And the guys are working hard so far, and we need some luck, as you know. But let's go for it. Let's embrace the #1 seed and see how good we can be.
I mean, I guess it's really important. This program has been really good, and being able to come in here and just keep that trend going, that history going, has been really good. Keeping the culture going in an upward trend. So I feel like just having all that behind us and all the support will help us out a lot this year.
I think he builds the program around toughness, and he always says blue collar. All his guys usually are recruited high, and we all have a chip on our shoulder. And I think that means a lot to us, and we all know that, and we just want to prove ourselves.
Return our core of Agent A. Johnson, Tori Harris, Ayanna Lopes, Maddie Niskowski, who started a bunch of games for us. And then we bring in some newcomers, but newcomers that have either played, high level, like an N.A. Adams at Wichita State in the AAC, or even like a Tiana Johnson, who was playing in the Jayhawk League and for junior college. They're very experienced players, so I wouldn't say that they're completely green and don't understand what it's like to be in a college basketball program. And it's all about the mix now. It's really finding who's going to work together, who of the newcomers, who's going to pick it up the quickest. What lineups work the best for us. It's been really, really exciting to see kind of the old and the new kind of come together and mix, and we've seen some really positive things.
Some of our strengths, I would have to say, is just staying connected overall, 40 minutes for sure. And we're obviously increasing on our rebounding percentages in practice, in our scrimmages.
More people to help rebound. We have a lot more scorers this year, a lot of playmakers, so, it won't just always come down to us. We have a lot more this year.
There's no doubt that it's an exciting time to be around the Riley Center. This past weekend also capped off the cross-country seasons with the men's and women's teams heading to Ohio for the Atlantic 10 Championships. We leave you this week with another installment of What's Brewing as women's lacrosse senior Madison Callan chats with cross-country track senior Morgan Brady. Until next time, go Bonnies!
Hi, I'm Madison Callan, and welcome back to another segment of What's Brewing, sponsored by Tim Hortons. Today I'm here with cross-country and track runner Morgan Brady. So Morgan, what makes you so passionate about running?
I would say the feeling of accomplishment after a race. It's definitely one of the most rewarding sports, knowing that you put all of the hard work in during the week and also get to do it with all of your friends by your side.
So what does a typical practice look like for you?
A practice is dynamic stretching. We go out on our run. Right now it's 7 miles, and then we come back, we stretch, and then do core or yoga.
I know that you have a health and fitness Instagram account called Brady Bites. What inspired you to start it?
Yeah, so over the summer, I was researching a lot of social media accounts at my internship. I wanted to start one up, and I've always loved cooking and baking, and I've always loved running. So I thought I would put that together and make it into an Instagram page.
What's your favorite type of content to post on your Instagram account?
My favorite content is posting my runs and posting meals and recipes that I make. I usually try and talk about my pace and how I felt during the run and any advice I have for the running post, and then just talk about the recipe and the baking post. So
one more question for you. How does your mentality change when you go from cross country to your track season?
Cross country, I'm usually running more long distance, and track, I'm usually running more short distance. So I like to change from preparing myself more for the track season, because I tend to like cross country with running around aimlessly as opposed to running in circles. So I tend to have to prepare myself a little bit more for track.
Well, thank you so much, Morgan. I appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of your season. I hope you enjoy your Tim Hortons.
Thank
and
you.
as always, go Bonnies.